Hey, how's it going? John Hickok here. Thought I would do a vlog over here on the Hickok 45 and Son channel. That's something I've wanted to do over here for a long time, just never got around to it. And of course, for those of you out there that are like, it's a vlog, it's going to vlog. We always called them vlogs just because we didn't know any better for a while, and then we just kind of got used to calling them that. So that's what I call them, vlogs. It makes sense to me. It's a video log, right? Vlog. I don't know. But yeah, so that's what this is about. That's what I'm doing here. This is always weird, talking to a camera. My wife's at work. We're not shooting any videos out on the compound today, so I'm just here by myself at the house, and it's talking to a camera. There's nobody here, so it's kind of weird, And getting over that takes a minute, so bear with me if you can, or don't. Whatever you guys want to do. That's what you should do. I tried to have my bearded dragon on my leg. He was sitting right here on one of the other takes that you guys didn't see for this vlog, and it didn't quite work out. So yeah, I'll show you some, probably, maybe, I don't know, depends on if I get too lazy, but more than likely you'll see some clips of why that didn't really work out too well. No, can't be on the soundboard, sorry buddy. And all that kind of stuff, and figure out exactly how it's gonna be planned out. Well, you know what? I guess I'll just leave him there. He's fine. He's not gonna hurt anything. Oh, come on, Bowser! Don't change all my knobs around. He's a little bit. He's kind of young. He's like 6 months old or something like that. So if you guys have ever had a lizard before as a pet, like they get into this like almost like teenage years. Apparently, it's the first one I've ever had. But that's what I've read, where they get like real anxious and stuff like that, and I hold him pretty often, but occasionally, he doesn't want to, he doesn't want to sit still. So anyways, that's that. But yeah, I just wanted to update you guys on some things, let you know. I've got a new web series that I'm trying to put together with some local Nashville comedians called Comedians Shoot Machine Guns, where I'm going to take some Nashville comedians, at least at the start. Hopefully I'll be able to get some actual big names maybe that you guys will recognize on the show at some point. But I'm going to start with just some local guys. There's a lot of really great, funny local Nashville comedians. So it's really becoming a big comedy scene. As you guys know, have been heavily involved in that lately. So I feel like that'd be a cool way to kind of bring stand-up comedy and guns together, and hopefully create something interesting. It's kind of based off of the genre that really, to me, Jerry Seinfeld kind of created, unless there's something that I don't know about before the show he did, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, where it's kind of like an action podcast, so it's still like dialogue based, but there's actually some things going on. You're not staying in one location, which I think is an awesome idea, and I love it, and I couldn't wait to do my own version of something like that. So it's comedians shooting machine guns, right? So none of that boring coffee stuff, right? No, I love Jerry's show. It's really entertaining. He even had the president on one of the episodes, which obviously not too fond of Obama because of all the gun banning and attempts, at least, all that kind of stuff. Even though that he is been one of the greatest gun salesmen, ironically. Who knows how long that whole thing will continue, though. So anyways, I'm getting down a rabbit hole. I don't mean to, but it was actually an entertaining show is what I'm trying to say, even though I'm not exactly Obama's biggest fan or anything. It was actually entertaining. So that's something that's coming up that I'm going to be doing. It's still a gun channel. I'm not trying to do too much comedy stuff, but that's just been a big part of my world lately. Stand-up comedy. It's a lot of fun. I just really enjoy it. I feel like it kind of helps me be more comfortable in front of the camera, because that's a weird thing. That's not something that I'm used to, right? A lot of you guys didn't know who I was for a long time, and some of you, well, you guys that are watching, I guess, do, but still, there's some of the Hickok 45 viewers out there that a lot of them still don't even know who I am, because I never really got in front of the camera. And I never really had any interest in doing that, because I never saw myself as someone who could do that, and I still don't really. But I just kind of got to a point where I was like, why not? Why not? I want to be able to keep this thing in the family. At some point, there may be a time where I do more of the videos, right? So I might as well go ahead and get started on it. So yeah, so I've been trying to do gun videos and more, more of that kind of stuff, because it's fun, and I've gotten to where I actually enjoy it. At first it was scary. Like I would get asked to be on podcasts and stuff all the time. Like Talking Lead, they would try to get me on. I wouldn't do it because I don't know. I just didn't feel like it made sense for me that I would be any good at it. And I'm still really not. But it's just kind of like now I'm just past year or so like why not? So yeah, so comedians shooting machine guns coming up. You guys have noticed I haven't been able to keep up with the podcast episodes. I was doing like one a week for a long time. I was doing good with it, and then ever since I started doing comedy, that kind of fell off because it's so time consuming, writing jokes and going to open mics and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just now getting to a point where I kind of what's the word? I'm kind of not on top of it, but I'm kind of to a point where it doesn't dominate all of my time because I know what to expect. I have a little bit better idea of how to write jokes for myself, and I have some material built up now. So if I'm not prepared, I still have stuff I can go and do and work on. So it's not as time consuming as it was. So I'm trying to get back into getting those podcasts done and get them out there. It's hard to in the position that I'm in, it's hard for me to manage all these different things because obviously the number one priority is the Hickok 45 videos, right? So we travel around a lot. It's a time consuming thing, but I love it. I absolutely love it, and I cannot think of anything I would rather do in my life. Honestly, I never thought that I would be able to honestly say that about myself, that I literally have the best job that I can even imagine for myself. I mean, being a rock star or whatever, yeah, but I don't know. I think I like this better, to be honest. Shoot guns, it's great. So yeah, I'm not complaining, just letting you guys know kind of what I'm dealing with. That's the number one priority. So like even with the gun videos that I do on Hickok, this channel, Hickok 45 and Son, sometimes they're kind of thrown together because there's really not time. The time goes into the main videos and stuff, and a lot of times when I do those, it's kind of like, oh yeah, let me think of some things to say real quick, and then all right, turn the camera on. Let me do one real quick, so I have something to put up. Not that I don't care about them, I do. I try my best, but I don't have the time to put into them like what we do with the other videos because that's the priority. So what I do is I try to use them as a way for me to get more comfortable in front of the camera and try to let you guys know more who I am and just have fun with them. They're not the kind of videos that you're going to watch and get all kinds of information from or smooth talking or whatever. It's just a way for me to kind of tell you some things I notice about the gun and that I like about it, and different ways that I like to have fun with it. It's basically kind of what those are about and stuff. And I appreciate the guys that like them, and I appreciate all the kind words and stuff because they are fun to do, and I need to start making a point to do more of those and trying to take time to actually plan more for them when I can and stuff. And back to the podcast. The hardest part about doing a podcast is organizing guests. That's the thing that takes up a lot of time. At some point, I may hire someone to kind of help me manage all of that stuff. But until then, I'm kind of doing all this on my own. Other than my friend Jeremy helping me with the editing and stuff, which I would not have time to do the podcast the way that it's done if it wasn't for that. Because that takes hours and hours and hours that I just don't have, and that's a huge help. So I'm trying to get more podcasts done. Is what I'm trying to say. So. Bear with me. You're probably going to see some local comedians on the podcast. That's going to happen more. Some of you guys will like that. Some of you won't. There obviously won't be as much gun talk on those episodes. There's one that maybe you guys have already seen or you will be seeing very soon where I had a great local comic on. Well, he's not really, I wouldn't say he's not so much a local comic. He tours and stuff. His name is Monty Mitchell. Great guy, really hilarious dude. You can check out his stuff on YouTube. Had him on, and I realized by the end of the podcast, we basically just talked about comedy the whole time. So it didn't really get into guns or anything like that, But sometimes that will happen. I'll have someone on, and it won't be a big gun episode, but it's like, I've told you guys before, it's not so much, even though it's called Gun Culture Radio, it's not so much a gun podcast, but more of a podcast for people who are interested in guns and lots of things, right? Because that's kind of my thing. Like, guns are kind of my main interest, especially now, it's part of my livelihood. But I'm interested in lots of different things, and if for me to be genuine and you to actually see who I really am, then I'm gonna showcase all of those types of things that I'm interested in. So the podcasts are going to reflect that, and of course I'm still gonna have Derek on all the time and all that kind of stuff. We recorded one not too long ago that you guys will be seeing. Derek is great, of course. That's another thing too. I want to find out some ways to, since you guys like him so much, get him, on the channel more often. We've talked about that, and he's very busy. He works. It's another thing people have asked if he's a cop, and he's not a cop. He never was. He's a security guard. Let's see. I'm trying to think. After he got out of the military, he did some stuff in the medical field for a while, like EMS and some different things like that, and then he's done a lot of armed security jobs and stuff like that. So he's a really busy guy. It's going to take some. I'm going to have to, if I want to do more stuff with him, it's going to take some serious planning and a little bit of money. So like, I've got to kind of figure out how that kind of shakes out and stuff. But I would like to be able to do more stuff with him, and I'm going to try to do that if I can. So because Derek's great, he's a great friend, and you guys seem to enjoy him on the podcast, and I want to come up with some more things to do with him. So yeah, that, of course, the podcast, I'm going to try to keep those going, keep those rolling. I'm going to keep trying to get more interesting guests and stuff, but just try to bear with me because I'm wearing a lot of hats right now, even though I don't actually literally wear hats ever, pretty much. Let's see, what else was I going to talk about? What I got written down here? Let's see. Yeah, meet and greets. If you guys want to come and see Dad or see both of us, whatever, at a meet and greet, we post those in the descriptions of videos. We announce those on Facebook. So definitely keep an eye on Facebook. If you want to actually come and physically see us to any event or anything like that, whether it's a meet and greet, whether it's just to maybe run into us at some event that we're going to be going to, or if you want to come see me do stand-up, I don't know why you would do that. But if you want to do those things, Facebook is, some people don't Facebook, whatever, but Facebook is the best way for us to get that information to you. We try to mention it in videos when we can, but Facebook is going to be a lot faster, a lot more real time, and you can just kind of scroll through and look and see what we've been posting, and you'll find that information there. And as far as stand-up, I do have some shows coming up. I've got one, let's see, let me look down. I've got one, it's probably too late to announce this one, honestly, but I have one March 5th, which is in like 2 days as I record this. So depending on how quickly I get this up, it may or may not be too late for that one. But that one's at Piranha's Bar and Grill out in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. Not too far outside of the Nashville area. All these shows that I'm doing are all around Nashville. I just got started with this. That's just how it goes in the beginning. The next one is on March 10th. That's at a place called 8th and Wedgwood, I believe it is. Again, like the specifics will be on Facebook and stuff. Yeah, 8th and Wedgwood. That should be a cool show. A lot of good comics on that one. And then April 1st, there's going to be a house show somewhere in Nashville. There's some pretty cool people on that one. That'll be fun. I'll announce that one as it gets closer on Facebook, and then also have one on April 20th at a place called Mad Donna's in Nashville. So got a few shows coming up. If you guys want to check them out, don't come to all of them. You're just gonna hear the same jokes. But yeah, so that's something that I got. What else was I gonna talk about? Let's see. I feel like there was something else that I was gonna tell you guys about. As you can see, I'm very professional when it comes to this kind of thing. It's fun though. That's the thing about it. Like you shouldn't. Well, sometimes you have to do things in life that aren't fun because they're a necessary tool to get you where you need to go. Um, but we should always try to do things that are fun in life. You know, people I don't think have enough fun. And when I say fun, I don't mean I don't mean just pleasure, right? There's a difference, kind of, I think, between fun and pleasure. Like pleasure is more like the raw kind of emotion that you get from it. To me, with something that's fun, it's something that is pleasurable, but also it's like an experience, right? That I enjoy. Something I'm exploring or experiencing. It kind of all it's like all those things kind of wrapped up into one. And this whole YouTube thing, since we started back in, oh man, what was that? 2008. Basically, is when we got started. It's been great. It's been so much fun, and I've been able to have so much fun with it. And and comedy is fun. I've had so much fun doing that, and it's fun. One of the things that makes it fun is because it's hard. It's a difficult thing to do. Like just being yourself in front of a crowd of people or in front of a camera is difficult to do. That's why so many people will take on characters, or why a lot of people are awkward in front of a camera, like I tend to be a lot of times, But my ultimate goal is I want to be the most genuine representation of who I really am when you guys see me in front of a camera or when the audience member sees me on stage. It's a little different with comedy because, you have a prepared, thing to go up there and deliver, but you still want it to reflect, who you are as a person, unless you're doing a character, which is a whole different ballgame. And I'm not good at that, like playing a character, so I don't do that. Just want to kind of be myself. And yeah, that's what. Now I'm glad that I got into that because it reminds me of what other thing I was going to talk about is sometimes like whatever, I get all these different troll comments and stuff like that. Most of them aren't even worth mentioning, but one thing I wanted to talk about some that I get as a troll comment sometimes, which doesn't really bother me when it's obvious it's an actual troll, but it's something I still want to address because maybe it's something that people have thought about or whatever. Is that I'm trying to copy dad or trying to be dad or all this kind of stuff, and a lot of you know that we started this together back in 2008, right? Like I've told this story probably a million times, but just kind of go back over it if some of you guys haven't heard it. Basically, the way it happened. Well, okay, let's go real far back, right? This is how it really happened. Dad obviously was into guns like forever, since very young. I think, forget when he said he started shooting. It's like 7 or 8, something like that. Really young. Shooting his whole life. Grew up on a farm, of course. Shot lots of guns. He did competition. He did like silhouette shooting, like in the 70s. He's done IPSC, IDPA. He's done Glock matches, all kinds of competition, and shooting. Owned all kinds of guns, historical guns. He's always been into guns, super hardcore, and I grew up with that. Right, so Dad was a teacher, and I was a teachee. I was in school. So we were off at the same time in the summer. So we would always, and we had the same schedule during the week too. So we were always together. We were always spending time together. We'd always go out and shoot. We were always shooting. And he taught me how to shoot when I was like 3 years old. That little pump action 22 long rifle, the Remington. You guys have seen the videos. The Uzi, actually. He had a fully automatic Uzi for a little while. Doesn't have it anymore, unfortunately. But luckily, we through our contacts, we're able to, have people come out to the compound and bring full auto stuff. So it's not a big deal anymore. So I was indoctrinated with shooting because of my dad's love of it. Right, so that's where it really started. Right, with my dad being a gun nut. That's how it really started, and then that turned me into a gun nut. And then, there were some periods, of course, where I played basketball because I was so tall. It's like, you sort of get roped into that if you are of a certain size, that fits well for a certain sport. Some of you guys can probably relate to that. So there was times where I wasn't as into guns, and all that kind of stuff. And so I went to college to play basketball. I didn't actually have a scholarship. I was kind of a walk-on. And was playing basketball, and I kind of had a hard time, relating to the guys on the team because they all came from kind of different environments. I was kind of like a country boy and stuff, and they're just different. I didn't relate to them as well. But they found out that I was into guns and knew about guns, and even at that time, I wasn't as hardcore, always thinking about guns at the time. When they found out that I was into guns, I can't remember how it came about. They were really interested in that, so they wanted to know all this stuff about guns, and and it was like, and then I kind of was reminded how much information that I had, especially for the layman, about guns, right? And that kind of piqued my interest again about guns. That kind of stuff. That was like around, let's say, 2007, something like that. Because I graduated high school in 2007, so that would have been, like the first part of the year, my freshman year in college. So it kind of piqued my interest, and I went, and I remember I bought a few guns, and I was staying in an apartment out there where I was going to college. Had a few guns in the apartment and stuff. Bought a Bushmaster AR. Bought that like right before all that Obama stuff happened the first time. Still have it actually. So I got back into guns just because the guys on the basketball team were kind of interested in it. That just kind of happened, and at the time, Dad was doing these videos for his students, right? Like the movie, he does something with the movie Shane. You'll have to ask him. I forget exactly how that worked, but did something with the movie Shane, and he dressed up like a cowboy and talked about some of the Western guns and stuff, and he sent them to me because we kept in constant communication. He sent them to me just to see what I thought about it, and I watched them. I was like, yeah, these are pretty cool and stuff, and didn't think a whole lot about it. But at the time, as I was getting more and more into guns, and I had owned some guns that I had out, and I was living several hours away from home out of college, and it was too far to drive to go shoot at my parents' house. I mean, way too far. It was like an all-day drive to get home. So I was like, man, I don't have a place to shoot, and I didn't have an experience with that before, and I was like, wow, this kind of sucks, and I couldn't find a place to shoot, right, except for an indoor range, and to me that was like, who wants that, at the time, because I was used to shooting outside and stuff, which indoor ranges are amazing, if that's the only place you have to shoot, and they're good for just working on, there's good things about indoor range. I'm not knocking an indoor range, but just at the time, my perspective was kind of like, that's, nobody wants that. And so I found myself on YouTube looking up videos of people shooting guns. At that time, it was basically like cat videos, music videos, and people doing stuff with guns is basically what it was, but not really gun reviews. Now, apparently Nothing Fancy had some videos at this time, and I wasn't aware of him yet, but I was seeing people doing stuff like bump firing, and you would see, there'd be videos of just some guys like, hey, this is a Glock 27, pow, 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 and then that's the video. Most of it was done on really crappy cell phone cameras or like MPEGs. Remember those from like some of those earlier or middle of the road kind of digital cameras back when those were a thing and stuff like that. And so then I kind of like, put two and two together. Dad and I were talking a lot all the time on the phone. And I was like, so Dad's making these videos that he's showing me. And then I see this stuff on YouTube, and it's just like a bunch of hacks. And keep in mind, I wasn't aware of Nothing Fancy, so I'm not talking about him. I'm not talking about anyone who actually has a YouTube channel or did at this time that was like putting up stuff consistently. These are just like random videos. And I was like, there's a bunch of really hacky stuff on there. And this is actually pretty cool. And I was like, hey, Dad, we should start, or I was like, you should start putting YouTube videos up, right? Because there was really no we this time. It was just kind of like, hey, this would be a cool thing to do. Why don't you put up some YouTube videos, and see how it goes? And he was like, yeah, maybe I'll do that, So he goes out one day, shoots a few. Keep in mind, I'm still out in college, and these are what I call the yellow shirt videos, which would be those very first ones where he has like he's shooting. I think it was like the 44 Magnum was one, the Glock 23 was one. One of the Bushmasters that he had at the time, that wasn't the one I had. It was a different one. It was one of those crime bill models where you had to have the pinned on flash hider and stuff, and didn't have the bayonet lug. It was one of those. And then I think that was it. There was like 3 or 4 of those. You know, he put up a couple of them on YouTube, and he actually already had a YouTube channel. That's where that buffalo shoot video came from, and there was like a couple of videos on there of him shooting through the car with a Glock, and I think even with a bow and arrow or something like that. And they were just kind of out there, and I remember those from, I think I was still in high school at the time, maybe when he put those up there. So then this was the first time where he actually put up a video intentionally just to, to do something, to provide some type of information, about the gun, or to demonstrate it, right? And I remember when he first told me that he put him up there, and I went and looked at him, and my first thought was, yeah, that's pretty good, but you talked a little bit too much, which is hilarious if you go back, to me at least, if you go back and watch those original Yellow Shirt videos and then compare them to the stuff that we do now. And so yeah, that's kind of how it was born, and then he kept putting them up, and I kept watching them, we kept talking about them and stuff on the phone, and I even created a YouTube channel at some point, that Big John 88TN one, and went out and I did find a place to shoot out there where I was living, and some of those clips you might see where it looks like the desert. It's actually some kind of old gravel mill that I found that I was shooting at, and it was kind of a satellite thing. We would just talk on the phone about it and stuff, and then I kind of, just because it's some different things, I wasn't paying attention in college, and just kind of the whole college thing kind of fell by the wayside, and I dropped out for various reasons that were all my fault. And so I found myself back at home, living with my parents again, and didn't really have anything to do. It was kind of the worst part of the economy. Couldn't find a job, and to be honest, I wasn't looking that hard, just because I was kind of like, oh, now what am I going to do? Because I always thought, well, basketball is my thing, And so my outlet was working with Dad on the videos, right? So that's just what we did. He'd get home from work, and if it was still a little bit of light, we'd get out there and shoot a video. I'd sit around all day and think of ideas. I'd edit them. That's when I made a lot of those rapid fire videos and stuff like that. And that's just what we did. That was my life. We'd just make videos. Did nothing. I hardly left the house. There was periods where that's all I did. Just thought about making those videos, and we just would work on those and do those every day. And it was a really great way for me to kind of like, let off some steam and put out, and be creative and stuff like that, while I figured out what the hell I was going to do with my life. And ironically, it ended up being that ended up being the thing that I would do with my life, which, it's crazy how life turns out. So that's just kind of how it happened, and it just kind of, it grew from there. And the style and everything, that you see on Hickok 45 is just stuff that we developed, together. Like, some of them are my ideas, some of them are his ideas, some of them are both our ideas. We just kind of developed it together, and at times we argue about it and fight over it, and stuff, and we make compromises and stuff like that. It's just, it's like anything. It's a business, and we built it together, and it is what it is. So I said all that to say that when you look at the videos on the Hickok 45 and Sun channel, it's not me copying my dad, it's me doing what we've always done. The difference is I'm in front of the camera this time. That's the only real difference, and you're seeing me and more of my perspective, right, than you do when you see Dad. When you see a Hickok 45 video and you see Dad, you see mostly his perspective, but the format is both of our perspectives, and you see a little bit of my perspective because we talk about the guns and stuff like that before the videos, and sometimes he'll mention like, oh, John doesn't like this or John like that or whatever, but that's it basically in a nutshell. Is it's not about me trying to be my dad. Like, we spend so much time together. Like, we have a lot of things that are very different about us. We have a lot of things that are the same. So nobody's copying anybody. This is just me doing what I've always done, just in a slightly different way. So it's a lot of fun, and I appreciate all of you that have been supportive. There's always going to be haters. Honestly, it's a good thing when you have haters, because it means that you might be doing something, right, if you have some haters. Now, if you got too many haters, right, like the Fine Brothers, that whole thing that's going on right now, which I guess it's fizzled out a little, that's not good. You don't want that kind of haters. But if you don't have any haters, then you're probably not doing something. So yeah, so it's all fun, and just really enjoy it, and appreciate you guys' support. Bear with me. I'm got a lot going on in my life right now. Not bad things, just things that require a lot of time and effort, and things that I'm excited to do. But just kind of bear with me, and I'll try to stick in there and keep giving you guys content that you want to see, and just being myself, whether you guys hate it or or tolerate it, whatever. It's all I can do. So you guys got any just comments or anything, stuff you want to see or questions you want to ask or anything like that? I'll try to kind of keep these vlogs almost like an open forum and try to answer some of those questions, in the next vlogs and stuff like that. And I'll admit I'm bad about getting around and answering comments. Like, Dad is so much better at that than me, actually replying to people. So I apologize if you're not likely to get a reply from me, but I do see them, I do read them, and I'll just, like I said, I'll kind of keep this an open forum, and I'll try to do these ever so often and answer whatever questions that you have and stuff like that. And like every video, I'm sure I leave things out or whatever, and I'll come back and try to clean that stuff up if I say anything confusing or whatever, so it's very likely. But anyways, I appreciate it. I think that was all I planned on saying, and all 2 of you that are still listening, I appreciate it, and we will talk to you later.